Well, it's great to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to dive into all things organizing.
Absolutely. Me too. So let's begin our journey with this. 6 years ago, this pandemic was changing our lives. And
Mhm.
undoubtedly, everybody was at home, and I'm sure that organization came into people's minds. How did you make it through that era? And how did it change the way that you approach clients and the way that you live today?
Yes, so actually, like many people, COVID and that whole experience totally changed my life. When COVID was happening, I was actually working a marketing job. And for some strange reason, I don't know, that company wouldn't let me work from home. And I had some people in my life that were like high risk and just different things. And so I actually like ended up quitting that job because I'm like, you guys aren't taking this like seriously at all at the time.
Yeah.
And I was also taking an organizing little Facebook class to see if it was something that would fit with me and if it was something I could turn into a business and I was like ready to go. So like when I quit that job and I had a little bit more time on my hands, I posted a Facebook post saying, "Hey, I'm opening my organizing business. I'm ready to help organize." And yeah, and then I had a couple of my close friends. It was just like me and them in a room, and I organized. And the beautiful thing is that everyone was watching Netflix, right? Everyone was binge watching Marie Kondo. We were binge watching The Home Edit. Like there were all these crazy funny memes about husbands complaining about their wives color coding everything and color organizing everything. So for me, it ended up kind of being a good thing, which is kind of terrible to say, but everyone wanted these services. So it was a great time to start this type of business because everyone was hyper focused and we were stuck at home and everyone could experience firsthand like the impact that clutter has on you
Yeah.
as far as anxiety, feeling overwhelmed, you know, uh, yeah, it raises your cortisol levels. And I think for the first time, like all of humanity realized that. And so I think it started this discussion in a funny way
Yeah.
of organizing and like, what does it really mean to be organized and to have that peace and space in your home? So,
So let me ask you this. If you were to get in front of a bunch of kids at career day and they wanted to get a handle on what you do on a daily basis,
mhm.
how would you explain your job to them?
Yes. So I would explain it like I go into a client's home and they show me the space that they want help with getting organized. And I take down and listen and I get their goals and their dreams and their wishes for their space. And I also listen for the pain points that they are experiencing so that I can successfully help alleviate those pain points. And then the magic starts. I start pulling everything out of a cupboard, cabinets, under the bed, wherever there are physical items, I pull it all out. I set up a table. I have a little rolling bag with me with all my tools, post-it notes, Sharpies, all kinds of goodies, trash bags, boxes. And then we just put everything that we pull out as we're pulling it out, we sort it into categories. So, like if we're working in a kitchen, all the pots and pans go together, spices go together, knives go together, silverware goes together. And then I review with the client. It's really important to me that like I don't make these decisions for clients. It's not my things, it's not my stuff. I don't live there. At the end of the day, the client lives there with these items. So I review with them and I help them make decisions. Donate, keep, sell, goes to a friend, goes in another room in the house, and you kind of strategically work out with them where the items are going to live ultimately, and then you put it all back. And that, in a nutshell, like that's what we do. So I would say if you like people, if you like decluttering and working with your hands, if you like getting dirty, if you like strategizing, then this would definitely be the career for you.
So what did you want to be when you were that age? What was your dream job?
Oh my gosh. I would say when I was really, really little, well, oh my gosh, I wanted to be so many things in my life.
Yeah.
Um, When I was little, I was on career day, I was probably like thinking I wanted to be an actress and I wanted to be on stage and do all that and make people happy and entertain them in a way. And then to be honest, I actually applied for a couple of jobs at the Container Store
Yeah.
and they didn't hire me then.
Oh.
So, but that ended up being, everything happens for a reason. So it's totally fine. But I would spend like many Friday nights just organizing my closet. And I thought I was so strange.
Yeah.
And, until I read Marie Kondo's book and was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not the only one.
So take me back to where
Mhm.
are you from LA originally?
No, I'm from Houston. I'm from Houston, Texas.
Okay, so you moved there. So let me ask you this. What were the early seeds that were planted, the early building blocks that made you evolve to this point of helping people with their organization? What were the things that became a part of you like permanently?
Yeah, so in Texas, we have big houses. And so I grew up in a big house with lots of things. And it was fun, I had all the latest toys, clothes, music, whatever I wanted. Within reason, but we still had a big house. So I would say that that also played a big part because I was constantly like moving toys around, organizing them, figuring out where they go, like a puzzle. I wasn't even thinking like this is a job or it could be a job one day. I'm just like, ooh, cool. Does this fit in this space? Oh, it does. Yay. And so I'd always help my parents kind of organize too and keep things going. And so was instilled in me. And then also we were involved in church. And so I was involved in choir and acting. And we always did mission trips and things like that. So from an early age, I experienced what it's like to help people and how fulfilling that is. And I think that that's just always stuck with me. And then throughout my life, we have traveled a lot. Like with my growing up, we always hopped in the van and drove across country to see whatever we could see, and meet all kinds of people. And that also stayed with me. So my whole life, I've loved to travel. I love to meet new cultures, experience them, understand them, just like see a different perspective. And I think that really helps with organizing because all of my clients are extremely different. They view the world differently, they think differently, they're creative in a different way. And, we all have our own family culture that we have. And
Yeah.
so I'm able to step in and appreciate the culture that I'm stepping into and help them with the goals that they want to accomplish.
So I'm curious when it comes to organizing, it's a little bit like those shows Hoarders. There's this mentality that builds up over time. What is one of the kind of silver linings that you have to address first and foremost psychologically with your clients to allow them? Because it's one thing to organize, but will that stick? That's probably the big thing. Like, will this happen a year after I leave? So, how do you address that? And you kind of play part psychologist, don't you? Because you have to get into the mentality of your client.
Yes. So my middle name's Grace, and that is a big part of my business model. So I definitely approach my clients and what they're going through with a lot of grace. Some organizers are not like that, and they attract the clients that need that tough, hard love.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, I approach my clients with a lot of empathy and understanding and grace. And then I help them with understanding that we have to be vigilant with like what comes into our home and that it's really hard these days. I mean, the American home has over 300,000 items in it. And we're constantly being bombarded with free gifts. Amazon, Walmart Plus, Target now is making it super easy. So when I'm finished with a project and I'm talking to my client, I do really try to encourage them, like, be extra vigilant about what you're letting into your home. Like, we just did all of this hard work. We figured out what was important to you, and you physically feel the difference, in your home. You feel lighter, you feel more focused. So let's keep that. And one of the things I do with my clients when I'm starting to put things away is I really ask them a lot of questions about how they move in their space because I believe that it's a rhythm and a dance and a pattern that we have in our spaces. A great example, I keep using kitchen a lot because we're all in our kitchens a lot. But if the refrigerator is on the left side of your kitchen and your water glasses are on the complete opposite side of the kitchen, that's not efficient and that doesn't help you.
Yeah.
And you have to remember, like, where are my water glasses? Like, nobody wants to do that these days. We don't have time to do that. So I really work hard with my clients to create an efficient space that matches their rhythms, how their room is set up, and I find that that's really helpful for them. I think that is a silver lining because it relieves a lot of stress. And then we also create a home for everything. Everything has to have a home. And like I feel like we've all heard that. That is like the general rule every organizer lives by probably since organizing became a profession. Because if you don't know where something goes,
Yeah.
you just put it on the bed, you put it here, you put it there, and that's not helpful. And then that's how the clutter builds up. So when I'm working with clients, I try to coach them on this, like slowly as we're going, because a lot of clients are embarrassed or overwhelmed and they're working a job and they've got kids to take care of. So they don't need me like, squawking at them.
Yeah.
So I try to be like graceful and teach them and coach them like as we're going through the process.
So I'm going to set this question up this
Mhm.
way. There's a lot of people that think they may want to get into medicine, but when they see the blood and guts, they don't want to have anything to do with it. And I think in your profession, when I see those shows and I see hoarders and I see real extreme scenarios, it just makes my mind spin. I'm just like, I just don't even want to look at it. It's like it's too much. It's bad. But for you, when you go in there, do you go in there kind of like with that surgical mindset where you're already instantly thinking about organizing, or how do you process something that's so chaotic it's hard for the
Yeah.
human brain to realize?
Yes. Well, I relate to you with the hoarding situation. So, I am not actually like trained to work with hoarders. And so
Okay.
there are many organizers that do because that is a normally based on a traumatic situation where they would need therapy and just extra help outside of my situation. I would love to. I walk into a space like that and I'm like, yes, let's go. Like, let's get the trash out. Let's sort the tools. Let's sort the leftover. Like, I'm all into it. But the thing is those particular clients, they are not into it. They don't want you touching their stuff. They're emotionally tied to it. And so for that, when people reach out to me for those big situations, although I really want to, like I get jazzed, it lights my fire. I do have to pass it on because I'm not trained. And to be honest, I love to make things really beautiful
Yeah.
and pretty.
Yeah.
And so those are the clients that if I'm working with you in person that I feel like I work the best with and excel at because I do love to like decant things, put them in glass containers, put the pretty labels, help clients minimize the noise in their space by doing that. So but yes, but I do have clients that come really close, but they're not like they haven't been through a traumatic hoarding type experience. So I do work with them. And I do. I walk into the space and they're so embarrassed. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is so exciting. You have a lot of stuff that we get to go through. And like, I get to sort and play with my hands and like figure these things out. So,
So I'm curious. I know anytime I organize or get rid of things or get to a place where it's less chaotic, it just makes me feel good. Have you read studies that study what the residuals are of getting to that place where you consistently keep your life organized?
yes, well, I would say I wrote a book about organizing. It just
Yeah.
came out. And so for that book, I did a lot of research because organizers, we love to tout these things. You'll feel more peaceful, you have less anxiety. And when I wrote the book, I was like, I want to make sure that that is factual. Is that real? Are we just saying that because that's our marketing thing, or is that real? And it is. I read an amazing article by BBC News, and they mentioned a study that UCLA did with a bunch of anthropologists. And the study said that we are the most materially rich society in the history of humanity.
Wow.
So We have more items than any human that ever lived before us.
Yeah.
So first of all, there's that. And then second of all, there was another study done, and they found that clutter, is particularly in women, can raise your cortisol levels. So when your cortisol levels are high,
Mhm.
you can experience chronic fatigue, post-traumatic stress disorder, and can lead to a higher risk of mortality. So, it's kind of a big deal
Yeah.
to have this clutter. And a lot of people come to me so frustrated. I can't focus. I can't do this thing. I'm not able to move forward in my life. And it's like, well, no wonder because your cortisol levels are constantly spiked.
Yeah.
So when we start to unravel the clutter and clear it and create systems that help my clients manage the clutter, the cortisol level comes down. My clients immediately feel like relief, like a little bit calmer, more peaceful, able to focus on what they need to focus on. And I love it. And the biggest story I have for that was a client I had in 2020. When I started with her, she was completely overwhelmed. The kids were at home. She was teaching them. She didn't smile at all on my first session, just like very walls up, rigid. She had all these dreams of getting in shape, writing a book, owning a house, and obviously making sure her kids were successful. And so we went through several rooms, decluttering, organizing, setting up the systems. And by our last session, she greeted me at the door with a big smile on her face. She had been working out, she had lost weight, her kids were happy. And then her and her husband had been able to make that tough decision of, yeah, we're going to move. We're going to go buy a house. We're going to live in another state. And, so they were able to propel forward with their dreams and their goals. And obviously there's a lot of things at play,
Yeah.
but I think organizing is one of the biggest tools
Yeah.
that we can use and do to help us lower our cortisol levels, make forward movement in our lives.
So who's been an inspirational force, a hero for you in your life that's allowed you to find this vocation, this way of helping people with their existence?
Yes. So I would say twofold. I would say my husband. When I met him, I was an actress, and then I became a starving actress. So I had to find another career, and he was with me through all of that. And then I decided to get a life coach. And then so he supported me and helped me with the life coach, kind of look at my life and who I am and find a new career. And then, so he's just been super supportive the whole time. He, helps me make checks in with my business, and he runs a business, so he helps me learn good business skills and practice. And if I have a hiccup, I can ask him. So definitely him. And then my parents are a huge inspiration and heroes because I did go through a dark season of experiencing anxiety and a panic attack, and I didn't know what I was going to do for a career. And they let me come home. They let me come home and rest, and they supported me. And I think that's another issue why I've been drawn to organizing because I know how important a home can be. It can support you when you need it in those really dark days, and then it can be a huge source of joy and celebration on those days. So, yeah. So those are my heroes.
I love it. So let me ask you this. Getting in and helping people organize their lives means that you have to get into people's worlds, and that can be messy. How do you protect yourself? How do you go in, keep yourself clear, and take care of your own soul? What is that energy every day the alarm clock goes off?
Yes. So, yes. Um, yeah, I do before I leave the house or right before I walk in, I do like to pray for myself and for the client that I can be the most helpful to them, that I can hear them and not interject my opinion of how they should live unless they want it. If they're
Yeah.
asking for it, I'll give it. So I do that. And then, I've done yoga and I've researched chakras and, some woo-woo things. So I do consider that before I go in, like, okay, like whatever is thrown at me, I can let it bounce off
Yeah.
And it's not me, it's them. It's them reacting to a situation in their life. It's not necessarily something I need to carry. Maybe in that moment I carry it. I help them carry it in that moment to support them and help them get through a tough moment. Like if, like for example, I had a client, we were working on her garage and it was so full of stuff. And then so she forgot what was in there. And then we came across a box that held her recently deceased husband's items.
Yeah.
And she broke down. And obviously I want to be there in that moment for her. So I was. And but then oftentimes I find that when I go home that it's really beneficial for me to take a shower and kind of just wash off that experience if it's been super emotional and for the client and for me that day. And then that really helps me. It's like my own quiet time in the bath or the shower. And yeah, and then I journal a lot and I tell my experiences to my husband who's super supportive. So that's how I protect myself. I'm
Yeah.
sure I can do more research, but on how to do that. But right now that seems to be working for me. So
So let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight and ran into a 18-year-old version of you, and you had a
mhm.
book of how your life has turned out so far, the job that you have right now, and you handed it over and said, "This is how it's turned out," would that young version of you be surprised? Would they be happy?
Yes, I think they would be happy. I think they would be a little like, you live in LA? Like you don't live in Colorado, like or somewhere else, you live in LA? And then they would be like, okay, cool. That's amazing because, we live close to Malibu, so we get to go to the beach in Malibu a lot um and we have a house, which is we feel very lucky to have a house in Los Angeles area and good family and friends and I feel like my whole life I've always secretly wanted to own my own business, but like didn't know how, even though I got a business degree. And so I think I'd be really proud that like I run and own a business and that I help people. Like I really, really help people.
Yeah. So, taking that a step further, of everything that you've accomplished in your career and your life up to this point, what are you the proudest of?
Hmm. I would say I I am the proudest. I am the proudest of, I've had to overcome a lot. We all have things. I've overcome a lot. And so I would say I'm the proudest of not letting anxiety and guilt and being overwhelmed and accepting myself and then being able to just stay in it and move forward and keep going after my best life. These days it's not easy to stay in it. There's so much noise and things going on in the world. It's easy to get distracted and times are tough for a lot of people. And so I'm just proud of myself that I stayed in it, that I listened to the people that God put in my path to help
Yeah.
me.
So, at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you: family, friends, everyone that's a client, everyone that knows you, everyone that's going to get your book, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I am very detail oriented. I see things and patterns that other people don't see. Um, I would say that I am fun, I'm calm, I appear calm, even if on the inside I'm like, oh my gosh, I definitely am calm or appear calm. And I would say I'm just happy, a joyful, graceful person, finally like at peace with how things are. So.
So, if anyone is ready for the next step, they have questions, they want to hire you, they want to get your book, any of the good business, where do they
Mhm.
go?
Yes, you can definitely go to my website, melindagrace.com, and you can research how to hire me in person. I do travel. I mean, there's a travel fee, but I do travel.
Yeah.
And then you can buy my book. You can learn more about my book, and there's a link to Amazon. It's all on my website. But if you prefer Instagram, I'm also on Instagram. That's a little more lighthearted, get to know me better, my personality before and after photos. So either way works. I do check my DMs over on Instagram. So, and that's
Okay.
Melinda Grace Organizing.
Okay, excellent. I will put those links in the show notes. Melinda, what a wonderful story. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for taking a minute out. Have a wonderful new year. I appreciate it.
Yes. Yes, you too. Happy New Year.
Thank you.